So today I'm working on tuning up the old mountain board. So the last thing we did way back in 2018 was to narrow these hangers up, and then we threw it together, and then we didn't really get a chance to get on it much. But next week I'm going to have the chance to go and take this out. So I'm working on it and tuning it up. So I've already taken care of the hangers and gotten them working pretty good. You know, well, good enough for a mountain board anyway. And I took the trucks off and I found this thing. So this is our Maryhill inspection sticker thing. So we actually only have the one picture of this board when it was set up for Maryhill. But anyway, I just think it's really, really cool that we're still using this board and it's still kicking and still serving a purpose. Probably the reason why it got repurposed for the mountain board was because it has the handle already. So it already had the handle for Maryhill, which means this would have been Riley's like main board for a while. And then I'm guessing the second reason is because it got the vicious grip on it. Anyway, a bit of a history there for you. So what I'm trying to do today is, first off, I'm going to be putting these wedges on. And the Other Planet base plates, as they just stock, are 17 degree pivot angles. That's just not going to be enough. It's nice to be able to have a lot of lean, but you don't want to be having to constantly digging into your lean to turn. For a mountain board, that's just a lot more work. So, along with increasing the angle, what that's going to do is it's going to cause the trucks to turn, the wheels to turn in more. So I've got to double check my clearance. I've already removed some material, so now I've just got to check that again. And I think that's the main thing I'm doing, is making sure there's no clearance issues and then just neatening things up. And we'll see what else I can think of to do while I'm doing that. Oh yeah, and also I put the bindings on here. So let's get this thing ready to roll. All right, so that's looking pretty good. You can probably see it's turning quite a lot now. And take a look. You can see it doesn't get bite. It gets kind of close. But just standing on the rail like that, it's good. So now, I guess the next thing I should do is those bindings. So let's check that out. Do it in a way that your feet don't come off the deck. So let's figure out the bindings. Okay, so here's the bindings. Just stick your feet in there. Make sure you can bend your knees all the way. Your toes are bending. Your toes are pointing in the direction your knees are bending. That way you can bend without hurting your knees, right? And then push those down. And look at that. You get tons of torque, so you can high side a little if you want. I'm curious to see how the narrower axles affect traction. I think with longboards, narrower does tend to have more traction, but I think really it's because you need to be able to have enough leverage to really influence the weight distribution across the wheels to get the most grip. If the wheels are super wide, or if the axles are super wide, you can't influence the weight distribution enough to do that. But on a dirt board, because you've got bindings, I don't think it matters anymore, because you're strapped in, so you can have enough torque to tip just about anything over if you wanted to, which means you've got full control over the side-to-side weight distribution. So let's see if there's anything else I can figure out to do. All right, so I think the last thing I'm gonna be able to do today is to take care of this hardware here. As you can see, here I've got bolts that are too short. Here I've got bolts that are way too long. So I've got to spend some time resizing some bolts. Then I got to find some washers for up here so I'm not squishing the crap out of the board. So let's do that. Well, there we go. Got the washers on top. Got the bolts trimmed down, and I've got the O-rings back on. So now it's got some resistance. With the O-rings on, there's definitely makes a huge difference in the resistance. So we'll have to see how that goes. I was honestly expecting to have to spend a little bit more time on this and to find more to do, but it didn't actually take that long, so this might not be a very long video. But next time you see this for sure, we'll be doing some riding. So there we go. Longboard technology, over and out. This video is going to end up being a little longer because I thought I was going to set this up real quick, but disaster struck. And the board busted when we were jumping around on it, and I think there was existing D-lam, and the super long necks just was a bad combination. So we're going to be setting up on another deck real quick. So I've picked this board out. It's one of our Mars decks, back when Other Planet was having production decks made, and we got this ridiculous grip tape on it, and I figure that's going to be great for the mountain boarding. Unless you fall on it, then you'll die. And I think it's going to work out great. So we'll get started on it. So let's see here.
Otherwise, it's just too thin if you just cut out right here.
Yeah, if you just cut out right here, then yeah, it's just yeah.
That makes sense.
So, but I was hoping we could just take this right here, and just.
Are they different widths?
And just trace. If we could just trace and do that.
Oh, okay.
That would have been really nice.
But you're not looking to do that?
But it doesn't look like that's going to work. So we're going to do. I'll probably still trace it, but then we'll modify it.
Okay.
Before cutting it out.
Cool.
So we ripped out the shape on the bandsaw, and now I'm just going to be modifying it with this really aggressive belt sander. All right. Well, this sure is looking like a repeat of the first part of the video last week, where I did the cutouts for the previous board, but it's looking really good. I didn't do any tapering in at all. I just did flush cuts to take it to the width I needed it to be, and it ended up being removing a lot of material. A lot of the wedge is exposed, so a lot of our material was removed from the necks. This should at least hold us over for a good while. So now what I got to do is mount the bindings, and I think I'll be all set. So here's my idea for putting the bindings on. I'm going to spray this off, get that all clean, and then I've got really dusty shoes from the shop. So what I'm going to do is get a feel for where I want my feet to be. It's a pretty good spot right there. It's a pretty good spot right there. Make sure I can bend my knees all the way. And then leave an imprint of the dirty shoes. All right, got those bindings on. Ooh, a bit tight on that one. Whoa, okay. Yeah, actually that's pretty good. Bend my knees all the way. Like I said, it's important your knees and your toes point in the same direction. Otherwise, all the soft tissue between your bones is going to get point loaded and messed up if you don't do that. So, okay, I'm going to limit how much I jump on it until we get it up on the mountain and get some runs on it. Then we can break it. All right, so here we go. It's all finished up and ready to go. Next time, for sure, I promise, the next time you're seeing this, it's going to be on the mountain. So, let's make some predictions, shall we, about what we might think after we've ridden this a bit. So first off, I think we're going to conclude that the axle is too narrow. And the reason I think that is because even just one set of O-rings on this thing makes it hard to lean and use all of your deck tip without lifting up the outside wheels. You're going to want to be able to lift up the outside wheels, but you don't want it to be happening all the time. And I think it's so narrow with the bindings, it's happening way too frequently. The angles, I'm less sure of. So Riley hasn't been riding Other Planet boards or Other Planet trucks as on his main board for years now. So he is completely acclimated out of this low deck tip thing. So there's a good chance he's going to favor more lean, or less lean and more turning. But at the same time, I do think that the mountain board is a little bit more inclined to want to have access to more lean than his little TKP setups that he's been running around a lot lately. And I think one of the things that is really going to be nice about the low angles that he is going to like is low angles give you a lot of control authority over what the board is doing. You know, your weight can dictate which way the wheels are pointing a lot more, and the trail won't be tossing you around. You're going to be more in control. And I think that's one thing he's going to like about the lower angles, and the ability to have a more dynamic range accessible to him, I guess. So I think it's a bit of a toss-up as to what Riley might like as far as the angles. But I've tried to choose angles that I think are going to be most acceptable. So I think we're going to end up being about 35 degree on the front, which is the low end of normal kingpin trucks. On the rear, so the rear I think is going to be 24.5 degrees. So it's about what I normally like for my front truck on Other Planet trucks. So this is definitely a lot more active of a configuration for Other Planet trucks than we almost ever do. So we'll just have to see how that turns out. But for now, this is Longboard Technology, over and out.